Good afternoon, everyone, and good morning to my friends in Hawaii. I'm Susan McGuire, Director of Professional Development at ACCE, and I'm happy to welcome you to this afternoon's webinar. I should say good morning to my friends on the West Coast as well. Today we are happy to present the second in our From the Winner's Circle series of webinars. They're presented by our 2018 Chamber of the Year Award winners, and they are all fabulous. In this webinar, Sherry Minor-McNamara and Lori Abe of the Chamber of Commerce Hawaii will talk about their chamber's Hawaii on the Hill program, which enjoyed a record-breaking 5th year in 2018. The program showcases the state's food, culture, and industries while connecting its members with policymakers, resources, and other connections to expand their businesses beyond Hawaii. Before I turn the program over to Sherry and Lori, I have a few housekeeping notes. First, attendees are in listen-only mode during the webinar to avoid background noise. Second, after the presentation, we will have time for questions, which you can ask by using the question function of the webinar. The question box is on the lower right-hand corner of your screen. Just type in your question, and I will read it out to Sherry and Lori. If we run out of time and we don't get to your question, or if you have a question that you would prefer to discuss with one of us individually offline, please feel free to contact Sherry or Lori or me if it's an ACCE question. Sherry and Lori's contact information will be included in the presentation on one of the last slides. We here at ACCE can also get in touch with you directly after the webinar if we don't get through all the questions. Also, I want to let you know that the presentation today is downloaded as a handout on your webinar screen. If you click on handouts, it will download, and you can take that, you can review it along with the presentation now. If you prefer to not to do that, or it's not working, or you just would like to take a look at the hard copy later, I will have it posted along with the webinar recording, which should be up no later than Monday, February 18th. So look for the webinar recording and the presentation by that day, and when we get at the end of the webinar, I'll explain where to find that webinar recording. So with that, I will introduce our speakers. Sherry was appointed President and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce Hawaii in 2013, becoming the youngest and first female President and CEO of the Chamber in the organization's 167-year history. She previously served as the Chamber's Chief Operating Officer and Senior Vice President of Government Affairs. She joined the Chamber as Director of Business Advocacy in 2006 and was promoted to Vice President of Business Advocacy and Government Affairs in 2007. Prior to joining the Chamber, she worked for a wide variety of companies in Hawaii, on the mainland, and in Japan, including the Sony Corporation, Estee Lauder, Elton John Production, and the 60 Minutes News Magazine show, as well as for the Hawaii State Legislature, Hawaii U.S. Senator, and the Executive Office of the U.S. President. Sherry serves on the boards of the U.S. Chamber, also of ACCE, COSC, and WACE. Lori Abe joined the Chamber in 2013 as Vice President of Communications and Marketing and was promoted to her current position as Chief of Operations and Communications in 2017. She oversees the Chamber's ongoing operations and procedures, business efficiencies, and new initiatives, as well as leads the organization's communications and event strategies. Lori has nearly 30 years in communications and marketing experience, including positions in Honolulu with the PR agency, Hilton Hotels, and 2 nonprofits, and on the mainland, including a Boston headquarters consulting company and Tupperware Worldwide in its Orlando headquarters. So welcome, Sherry and Lori. We're delighted to have you this afternoon, and at this point, I will turn the presentation over to you.
Thank you, Susan. Aloha and good morning, and as well as good afternoon to some of you. Lori and I are certainly excited to present this Hawaii on the Hill initiative to everyone. We were certainly surprised and honored to also be presented the Chamber of the Year Award last year, and since then we have the Chamber's voice has elevated, our membership has grown, and so those of you who are contemplating applying, it's definitely worth the investment. So here's what our presentation will cover. 1, who we are. 2, history and background of Hawaii on the Hill. 3, growth and development of the program over the past 5 years. 4, managing costs and use of sponsorships to sustain program. 5, helpful tips to keep in mind. And finally, end with Q&A. And just as an FYI, the logo you see there was a logo designed by one of our board members. So just to give you a brief background of our chamber, we serve as the state chamber, but many of our members are in Honolulu, so we also serve as a metro chamber. We work closely, though, with the island, local, and ethnic chambers across the state, and we are the oldest chamber west of the Rockies. Our revenue is $2.6 million, and half of it is membership dues, and the other half come from programs. We have a little over 2,100 members, about half are dues paying, which are 80% small business and less than 25 employees. And we have 13 employees that cover executives, membership, business advocacy and development, government affairs and alliances, sector partnerships and manufacturing initiatives, military affairs, events, young professionals, and communications programs. So on to Hawaii on the Hill. It's a tradition on Capitol Hill for each state to host a taste of event as a means of promoting itself and highlighting the food and beverage and other industries that are unique to the state. And Hawaii never hosted one previously until 2014, when our U.S. Senator Mazie Hirono reached out to the chamber to develop an initiative to showcase Hawaii with a series of events on Capitol Hill, including the Taste of Hawaii, where we showcase Hawaii's food, culture, and different industries. And the chamber launched Hawaii on the Hill that year. And first year, in 2014, we had only 3 months to prepare. So it was definitely a tight time frame, but it was worth the investment, and the outcome was successful. And this year, we are on to our 6th anniversary of this 2-day initiative, which is typically held the second week of June. So prior to the official start of the Hawaii on the Hill, we schedule a number of activities. One is on Monday. We start on Monday with a pre-Hawaii on the Hill dinner. It's a leadership dinner where we invite top sponsors, as well as include the mayors. We have all the mayors attend, most of the mayors actually attend the Hawaii on the Hill initiative. We also have our state legislators attend and our city council persons, members as well. So it's a good opportunity for top sponsors to connect and network with our lawmakers. Then on Tuesday, we have a talk story session with our Senator, Mazie Hirono. So that's usually in the morning. And then in the afternoon, based on our partnership with the National Association of Manufacturers and the U.S. Chamber, we do a joint briefing for our members so they can get more information on to get a federal update from these two organizations. And then in the evening, we do a welcome reception where we include our congressional delegation, some of their staff, our participants, as well as special guests. And we're delighted because this past year, the ambassador of Japan heard about Hawaii on the Hill initiative. And because of our strong ties to Japan, he invited us as his guests, and he hosted the welcome reception at his home. So it was a very special occasion for us. Then on Wednesday, day 2, we have our policy summit. So that occurs in the morning, and Senator Hirono coordinates the policy summit. So she and her staff invite speakers or agency reps or members of the Senate to speak to our members, and our members have an opportunity to ask questions and find out more about resources available to them. Then that evening, we have our Taste of Hawaii on the Hill event, And then finally, after that, we have a sponsor that sponsors our post-taste reception. And that's a way for members to just get to relax after this huge taste event, as well as to be rewarded for what they've done in the past couple of days. We also provide optional tours in partnership with Senator Hirono. So they help us coordinate tours with the White House, Capitol Dome, which is a private tour, Capitol Hill, Library of Congress, and the Pentagon. So the takeaway from this is really to provide more value to our members, because the participants that attend, they are paying their entire trip. So that includes the travel costs, food, they donate all the products and services, and they pay us a sponsorship fee as well. So here's just some photos from our leadership dinner. We generally like to have it at a fine dining place, just because our top sponsors pay a lot of money to Hawaii on the Hill. So we want to make sure we provide them with an experience. And here's some photos from our talk story session with Senator Hirono. So that's always a treat to be able to have one-on-one time with her. And just a quick snapshot of our agendas with the U.S. Chamber and the NAM briefing. And we usually change. So every year we change locations. It's either at the U.S. Chamber office or at the NAM office.
Okay, good morning, everyone. This is Lori. So Sherry kind of covered the events that happened before the two-day official agenda kicks off. And it officially kicks off with the welcome reception. As Sherry mentioned, the Japan ambassador to the U.S. invited us to his residence, and he hosted the reception, which was a very special treat for all of our guests. So what was really impressive, as well as, just where the event was held, was that the ambassador personally greeted every single one of our guests that came in. So he personally greeted over 150 people that evening. Welcome reception. Well, one of the things that we try to do is change up the venues every year because we have a lot of returning participants. We want to make the itinerary different for them every year. So we've had our welcome reception everywhere from Google's headquarters in DC to President Woodrow Wilson House and George Washington University. So in this photo, you'll see the Google headquarters on the left, George Washington headquarters in the middle, and then Google again on the right. This year, we're going to have it at the U.S. Botanic Garden on the grounds of the Capitol. So as Sherry mentioned, the Policy Summit is another one of the signature events. So it's an opportunity for our participants to hear from a wide variety of speakers. Here we see Senator Chuck Schumer, who usually closes our Policy Summit. But we've had anyone from the Department of Defense, Small Business Development, Energy Innovation, USDA, Maritime Security, Federal Budget and Appropriations. So it's a great opportunity for our participants to hear from top agency officials and legislators.
So going back to the signature event, which is a Taste of Hawaii on the Hill event, again, it's an opportunity for us to showcase Hawaii products and primary industries. Because of our unique location, and the capabilities as an economic hub and its cultural diversity, we are able to showcase a lot of our products that are unique to us. And I think that has been one of the draws of the huge attendance that we have been getting. And it also provides the participants a value-added opportunity to meet with congressional reps and other officials in the areas of interest. So those who attend the TASTE event generally are congressional members, their staffers, as well as members from the DC community that have a connection to Hawaii, or just and from national organizations. So every year we try to provide a unique Hawaii experience for guests and try to add to it, and as well as capitalize any media or promotional opportunities, which Lori will get into. A fun fact is, as we're looking through the photos and looking at who attended, which congressional members attended in the past, I think the ones that have declared the presidency for the 2020 election have attended the Taste of Hawaii event. So it's really exciting to see them there and tasting the food, talking with our members, and just having a positive experience. So here's some photos. We've been using different locations. So we've had it at the Kennedy Caucus room at one point, and last year it was in the Hart building because we needed a larger space. And as you can see from the photo, it's jam-packed. There's a line that goes from Hart to Dirksen. It's a good problem to have, though. But the problem is there's no larger space on Capitol Hill, and we want to keep it there so that way there's easy access for the members of Congress and their staffers to attend. And each person is greeted with a fresh lei. So we flew in more than 2,000 lei last year.
So one of the ways we engage our members and share our appreciation for their participation, as well as try to generate media coverage, is we arrange for pre-Hawaii on the Hill tours in conjunction with Senator's schedule. So whenever she's in the islands, we try to set up tours of some of the manufacturers and companies that participate in Hawaii on the Hill. So in the photos that you see here, we had a fashion designer who participated one year. Sherry's favorite photo there on the bottom left with the hairnet. One of our chocolate macadamia makers, we visited them as well. So it provides them with a personal opportunity to share their products and facilities with the Senator and Sherry, as well as it gives us the opportunity to get media coverage, because what we do is typically take video B-roll of these visits and submit it to the TV stations afterwards. So as you can see in this chart, media coverage really spikes in June, May and June when we have Hawaii on the Hill. So this is examples of some of the TV interviews that Sherry and Senator do in advance. At the top left there is a radio interview with our local NPR station. So a lot of you are probably wondering what we charge participants for attending this. So here are the registration levels that we have laid out. We have member and non-member pricing. And as you can see, it's pretty, it's fairly low for the smaller businesses, because we know that they have to pay for their travel expenses and shipping of products and all their products that they bring with them. So we try to keep registration as low as possible. But as you see at the bottom, we have underwriter sponsors, and those are our larger companies that we rely on to help support the events during Hawaii on the Hill.
Performance indicators. So just to, it's been really rewarding and really gratifying to see the attendance grow over the years. When we first started, we only had about 25 businesses and about 50 people attend or participate in Hawaii on the Hill. So, but since then, it has significantly grown to 150 participants. So we have 150 people from Hawaii flying to DC to participate in this initiative. And we had more than 80 organizations represented, whereas back in 2014, as I mentioned, we only had 25. The first year, again, at the TASTE event, we had about 600 members attend, but this past year, we had more than 2,000 guests, making it the biggest event on Capitol Hill of all the events. We had the highest number of attending U.S. senators and reps, because as they hear more every year about the Taste of Hawaii event, we've seen more of the senators and reps attend our TASTE event. And what's even more, what we're proud about is that 70% are returning participants. So of the 150 participants and 80 businesses, 70% participated from year one. And so they continue to be a part of this initiative because they recognize that it's not only important for their business, but important for Hawaii. And our net revenue has grown to $15,000. So some helpful tips is set clear expectations with congressional staff. Let them know who's responsible for what. Calendar meetings at least 6 months out, and be disciplined about keeping it to the schedule. So for us, we do it every Monday at 10 a.m. Volunteers, particularly with a taste event, will be needed by participating exhibitors and your team. A shipping partner who can offer discounted rates. So we work with UPS as well as one of the state agencies, the Innovate Hawaii, which is a manufacturing arm of our Hawaii Tech Development Corp. When selecting a host hotel, make sure they're able to accommodate space for shipped items. For us, we had more than 350 boxes we had to ship over, including freezer and refrigerator space, as well as have a process for handling incoming shipments. Excuse me. Add new elements every year, so whether it's different venues for the welcome reception or dinners, provide gift items to the participants because, again, they're paying their own way. They're investing all of this, so it's nice, even something small. So last year we gave them some a travel bag with the Hawaii on the Hill logo. Have guest speakers, usually guest speakers that normally they don't have access to, so that can be worked with your senator. And then provide different tours. And then for the top sponsor, we generally provide VIP experiences. So we, again, work with Senator's office for special tours. So for example, we had a bowling at the White House because the Senator had access to some of the resources. So we were able to invite our top sponsors to that event, even the Capitol Dome, where it's not provided to the public. And behind the scenes on Capitol Hill tours as well. So I won't read through all the testimonials, but mainly these businesses participate because they know it's good for Hawaii. But at the same time, some of them have gotten a huge ROI. Let's take Hawaii Koloa Rum. They had no distribution channels on the East Coast before participating in Hawaii on the Hill. But since then, they have more than 350 distribution channels on the East Coast. So they certainly have seen their business expand because of that. Salty Wahine, they've been able to get grants and other types of resources from SBA, and they have grown as well and has been honored, presented with numerous awards nationally and internationally. But that concludes our program, and the thing we want to emphasize is that while this is an example of our initiative, each state will be different in terms of how they tailor it to their own membership as well as audience. So we hope that we were able to provide you some framework or an idea as to if you're interested in doing a fly-in and making it a unique experience for your members and provide value, that our Hawaii on the Hill initiative has provided that to you. But now we're open to any questions you may have.
Okay, well, thank you, Sherry and Lori. And yeah, if any of you have any questions, now's the time to ask them. You can just type in your questions in the question box, and I will see them, and I will read them to our panel. So while we're waiting to see if any questions come up, I had a question. What do you think brings participants back year after year? You have such a high return rate. What is it that's getting them to participate, even though they have to, pay their costs and some of the sponsors have to pay higher levels? What's the magic that's getting them to go back year after year?
Thank you for that question. I think it's one, showcasing Hawaii. They believe that it's important, and what sparked this was that our congressional delegation is relatively new. So we felt that we needed to be a part of this and do this for Hawaii, and to ensure that Hawaii, as the 50th state and an island state, stays on the radar and in the forefront of our nation's leaders. And so when Senator Hirono asked us to partner with her, we didn't hesitate at all. And then we found out we had only 3 months to prepare for the first year. But we were surprised at the number of participants and interest we had the first year. And I think since then, they've been coming back because each year we provide a new experience, whether it's a new event, different venue, etc. So I think if we change it up, and that creates the newness of it, the excitement to it. And 3, the access to our senator, the access to the congressional leaders, access to agency reps, access to NAM and U.S. Chamber, and to establish relationships with them. So I think those are 3 main reasons why many of them return.
Okay. A couple other questions. Can you explain more about what the Policy Summit covers?
So what we try to do is poll our participants while we're preparing for the trip, to ask them about what kinds of issues they'd be interested in hearing from. So with our group being, Hawaii location, a lot of them like to hear about trade issues and other policy issues. Tourism has been another issue that we've been covering. Energy, we have Hawaii Energy and other organizations that we work with and that come on the trip that are interested in hearing about that. So it's really driven by the participants and what they're interested in hearing about, and then we take those messages back to our senator, and she works on, her team works on trying to put together an itinerary that matches those interests.
Okay. Question, where did you hold the meetings for the fly-in? Again, there was the Google headquarters and others. How much was it to hold meetings there?
Actually, there was really in terms of the meetings at NAM, U.S. Chamber, there's no cost because they hosted us and they provided the venue, as well as the welcome reception. Google actually paid for some of the sponsor of the event. We did have some costs, some food and beverage costs, but minimal because what Senator Hirono's office does, as well as what we do, is find sponsors to offset the cost. So we're very fortunate that Google sponsored it the first couple of years, and then the ambassador hosted it last year. So it's good to use your connections and your relationships to see who it sponsors. So I'm sure many of you have access to, or members that are national. That's a good way to leverage them, approach them. Hey, we're hosting a welcome reception as part of our fly-in. Would you want to sponsor it? And usually, at least for us, we've been able to get them to sponsor because, one, they'll be able to connect with your own congressional delegation, and 2, because they're a national organization or company, it fits accordingly.
Yeah, and then your congressional delegate is also leveraging their connections. So Google is a lot of the reason why we got the Google headquarters is through our senator's assistance.
Okay. Another question, how many staff do you bring on the trip?
So usually we bring 4. It depends on what our budget's looking like and what other things are going on with the trip. But we're usually able to do it with 4 people. However, we use a lot of volunteer help from our senators through our senator's office. They have a ton of interns that work in those offices, as well as now that the word's getting out with we have other interns from other state offices that are helping as well.
Okay. All right, well, that's all the questions I see for right now. Just while we're waiting for any more, if you all have any more questions, go ahead and type them in. While we're waiting, just a reminder that today's webinar was recorded, and I'll post the recording along with a copy of the presentation on our ACCE webinar page. That should be up either tomorrow or no later than Monday. And you can find that page by clicking on our website, www.acce.org, clicking on Professional Development, hovering over ACC University Online, and then clicking on Webinars, and you'll see it there, along with all of our webinars that we've held over the last months and years. Just click on the icon of interest, and all of our webinar recordings are there. And our next live webinar, sure, go ahead.
Sorry, just one more point. If there's a video on our website, cochawaii.org, and you can give you a better flavor as to what the initiative is all about. And just click on Hawaii on the Hill on the homepage, and you'll find the video.
Okay, and I can link that to where we have the recording posted too, so folks can find it easily. So yeah, thanks for mentioning that. All right, well, I don't see any more questions, so thank you all again. Our next webinar, ACC University webinar, will be in 2 weeks on Thursday, February 28th at 2 p.m. When Allie Ehrlich of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce will present on the U.S. Chamber's accreditation program. She usually brings a panel of chamber executives to talk about their process and their journey and the rewards of chamber accreditation. So you can register for that webinar on our ACC events page, where you can get to that by clicking on professional development, hovering over events, and then clicking on upcoming webinars, or just look for the e-blast. So thank you again, Sherry and Lori, for taking the time to present today's webinar. Thank you everyone for your participation and interest. Wishing everyone a wonderful afternoon, and we will see you on our next ACCE webinar. Bye-bye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.